So the last section, so you've been getting some good stuff today?
Yes.
Learned a few things you didn't know? Yeah? A few things to think about now? Right? Get that business valuation. Why not? Right? Go see Allan, get that thing. So you know where you're at today. Right? Then you can start planning. That's why you're starting to feel you need 2 to 3 years before you really sell something. Right? It's the biggest mistake people make is they just kind of wake up one day and said, I've had it, I'm going to sell my business. And it's like, really? With 3 years, we got all the time to get all this stuff fixed. Right? So a little bit about me. I've done 10 businesses in over 50 countries. And I'm an author and all kinds of good stuff. But just a little bit of my companies. I started a company called Shinuat Communications in Thailand. This is why I speak Thai. Okay, we grew it literally from 3 of us sitting around the table to $2 billion, and we took it public. So that was our exit strategy, right? It happened to be we wanted to go public with it. So we went public on the New York Stock Exchange. It's still there. And also another Thailand company, Pactel Thailand, $70 million, and we took that public in Thailand. So there's all kinds of crazy exit strategies you can do. Like, it doesn't have to be in the US. We're at the Global Trade Chamber here. Like, this is a global market, isn't it? Like, you're not stuck in just the United States. You can go anywhere. One I did in the US, Interworld Communication, a telecom company, $25 million in revenue, and I sold it to AT&T. Okay, because one exit strategy is instead of going public, you can just sell it to a bigger competitor, right? You merge in, it's all good. And but by the way, I also had 4 failures. At 10 companies, I had 4 just miserable failures. And I think I learned more though in those 4. You know, the things that Allan were talking about just now, right? When you fail, you learn this stuff. Okay. So let's get in. Here's the big idea, guys. I want to give you the one strategy. Here's the one big takeaway today. Okay, I want to leave you with something you can like do tomorrow. And that is, like, if you really want to increase the valuation of your business, I want you to think about capturing and keeping multiple giant clients, and why this is absolutely essential for creating wealth and for long-term strategy. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit today. It's going to take a few minutes and share this with you. Okay, now I'm going to define a giant client as a client that provides you 10 to 20 times more profit than a regular client. Okay, we're going to talk about getting multiple ones of these. All right, giant clients. Because remember, only 10% of businesses can sell. You with me? We got to get into this elite group right here. Right? You want to position. So why do so many fail to exit successfully? Let me share with you what the studies are saying. Harvard just came out with a study. And interesting enough, they said the #1 reason was that that you did not have multiple giant clients in your portfolio. Very interesting, right? You didn't have multiple ones. So here's Sebastian Thrun. He's the guy with Google who created the car that drives by itself that everyone in South Florida needs. Do you agree? 100%. He says, just let go, trust your ability to learn more than holding on to things you've achieved. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
We're so holding on to, you know, how good we are that we need to learn. And so let me give you a little learning. This is, again, from the Harvard study. And Harvard said, we're all on one of 3 business paths. We're all, I don't care if you're a startup, been in business 10 years, you're a Fortune 500, we're on one of 3 business paths. And the first one, they coined the snail trail. They said about 55% of companies are on this business path, and this is where you have no giant clients, 0. Okay? And they called it the snail trail because oftentimes you can survive for 5, 6, 7, 8 years before you finally go out of business. It's like this low suffering thing, right? You're constantly trying to collect from clients. You're certainly, like Allan said, you want a business that works without you. Not in this, if you've got a Snail. You're putting in the 40, 50, 60 hours every week. And by the way, you're just one sickness from going out of business, aren't you? Right? One sickness from going down. So you're kind of a victim of your devotion to your company. You're putting in the 50, 60 hours, but the financial strain, like this is money worry time right here, this path. As you can see, more than half of us are on this path. By the way, of my 10 companies, I had one of these. I had one of these. Okay, remember I had 4 failures? One of the failures was because I was on this path, and that was the most work I ever did in my life for the least return. The second business path is called the shooting star. And Allan was kind of talking about this. This is where you've got one giant client. You've got this one big guy. By the way, I had 3 of these. I had 3 of these. Oh, so good when you get one. Like you get this giant client, you buy the Ferrari, you got the new house, everything's good. It goes about 18 months, and then they leave you. Right? And you're out of business overnight. Why? Because think about it, you're a victim of your own success. In my case, I was spending so much time just trying to service that big client because, like Allan was saying, like I had so much concentrated on that. I was doing everything, and I had all these people to support them and all this equipment and new office space. And when they left me, no fault of mine. Okay? 3 times this happened, no fault of mine. What happened? Some new guy came in, some new VP wanted to give the contract to somebody else, and boom, I'm out. And not only am I out, but I'm out of business. Okay? A third of us have this one shooting star. Okay? We're on this business path. And the third path, they coined the elephant herder path, and this is where you get more than one giant client. In fact, listen to this. It's very, very interesting. This third path, according to Harvard, they're saying if you're on that first path, the snail trail, 100% you're going out of business. Not 80%, not 85, 100% you're going down if you don't have any giants. The second path, the shooting star path, 100% you're going out of business. Sorry. It's just the stats. By the way, they did the study over 12 years. Not one company survived if they were on either path. Well, it makes sense. Did you know only 4% of companies make it? Only 4%. Okay? Every year in the U.S., 1 million businesses are started. 1 million. 40% are gone in the first year. 80% are gone in the first 5 years. And oh, you made it 5 years? 80% more are gone in the next 5 years. 4% make it. Yes?
Can I go back to the chart?
Okay? 4% make it. Here's why. Because we're playing on this snail and shooting star path. You with me? Okay? So how are you going to sell a company that goes out of business? That isn't going to work. Okay? We've got to get onto this elephant herder path. That's where the lasting success and prosperity is. So look, if you're going to do that, there's kind of 6 major market segments you can go after if you're looking for giants. Certainly you can go after like the Fortune 500 companies, right? You can go after them. So big city governments are great. State, county governments, right? These are all giants that you can go after. All right? We're here at the Global Trade Chamber. Foreign governments and exporting. Right? Go after foreign governments. One of the reasons I speak Thai, the number one thing I did, I was working for the phone company California. They sent me to Thailand, and we landed a $70 million telecom project with the government of Thailand. Okay? So the good news is we got 70 million. The bad news is it took us 3 years and $1 million. So if you got 3 years and $1 million, come see me after. I can help you. All right? And we've got also the federal government. By the way, anyone want to guess which of these 6? None of them are easy, but which one is the lowest cost and the least time consuming to land?
Federal government. The county?
Federal, yeah, you're absolutely right. You know why the federal government? First of all, there's 4,600 federal agencies, you know, like the FBI and the Post Office, etc. So if you get 2 of those agencies, guess what? Now you got 2 giants, now you're on the elephant herder path. And the reason it's so easy, for example, if you go after Fortune 500, you get IBM. Let's suppose you spend a couple years, you got IBM as a client, and now you're a shooting star, so you got to get another big one, and you go after Office Depot. Well, guess what? To get IBM, you had to learn their culture, how they budgeted, who made the sale, how they made the sale. You had to learn everything about IBM, right? Probably took you 2 to 3 years to land that thing. And then, now you're going after Office Depot, guess what? You got to start all over. You got to learn how they budget and how they sell and who makes the sale and you got to learn their culture and everything. So with the federal government, yeah, you have to go through that hassle. You've got to learn everything about the federal government. But once you know how to get one agency, you know how to get all 4,600. You can get them all in the same way, right? That's why I say it's not easy. It's just the easiest one of the 6. But here's the good news. Between those markets, there's over 10,000 giants that you can go after. Okay? So why don't we sell to these guys, right? Well, we feel safer selling to a little guy. Maybe we don't know how. Maybe we've never gone after these giants before. We're afraid of the risk. Like we're afraid of becoming the shooting star, right? That's no fun. Well, it is fun for a year and a half. It really is. So look at this slide. Fewer than 1.5% of companies in the United States make more than 25 mil. Isn't that interesting? How many is over 25 million in this room? Anybody? Not yet? So we're all kind of staying, well why? Because if you don't get multiple giant clients, you're not going over 25 million. You with me? It's not happening. Allan, can you sell a $50 million company easier than a $5 million? Like, hello, right? So it's all about capturing these giant clients, okay? So let me give you some practical ways to do this, all right? Because I think the best strategy to prepare your business to sell is to get a few giants. Take your business from maybe under $1 million or 2 or under 5 million, get it over 25 mil. Look, you got 3 years, right? You got 3 years. You get 3 giants over 3 years, you're over 25 mil, people. Okay? And by the way, life is good when you have more than 25 mil. Okay? You got teams. Remember Allan said you want a business that runs without you? Well, if you're making 4, 5, 6 million profit a year, every year, you got people doing stuff, right? You're not doing the stuff anymore. So if the goal is to optimize business valuation, by the way, when I sold, I had a telecom company, Interworld, you saw it, I sold it to AT&T. Here's what they did. They took all my regular sized clients and they multiplied the revenue. It was a sweet deal, Allan. They multiplied the revenue times 1, so that, and they gave me that much money for those. But for my giants, they gave me 4 times revenue. So they took my giants and put them over here and said, we're going to give you 4 times for that. Okay? Why? Because it's more predictable and they pay because they can. Anybody have small clients that don't pay them sometimes? Like really? Sometimes?
Yeah. That's when we provide them receivables financing.
Yeah, so you got to see Doug and pray, right? All right, so here's the point. How do you capture the giants and position it? So let me share with you the investment it takes to get in these guys. According to Advertising Age in their November 2015 issue, it takes 25% of the revenue you want. You got to invest in marketing to get it. Which means if you want to add $1 million giant, you got to come up with 250 grand. Okay? This is just the bitter life. That's what it takes. That's the average right there. Want another $1 million in revenue, you got to come up with 25%. Okay? So let me share with you a strategy where you don't In fact, most owners, by the way, can do it like for 100 grand. Now, some people do spend 250, but they're already over 25 million. You with me? They're already over 25 million, so they can spend the 250 to get giants. They don't care. All right? And if you're on a fixed or a limited budget, you can probably do it for around 50 grand. But you can spread that out over 2 or 3 years. You with me? So here's how you do it. Let me show you exactly. I wish you guys had like a little table so you can take a little note here. This is good stuff. I'm giving you good stuff now. So here's how you practically land some giants. So what do you have to do? You got to get, like it's going to take 50 or 100, maybe as much as 250. Like who has that? Right? Who's got 250 grand? So let me show you how you can make money quick. So now you've got some money in your hand, so now you can go after giants. Is that okay? Let me show you how to fund this project. You're going to focus on just 5 areas. It's the old 80-20 rule. You heard of the 64-4 rule? It's even focusing more. Instead of like 80-20, it's like, no, I'm going to spend all my time on just these 5 areas. Guys, take a picture of this. Take a picture of this. You want to spend all your time on these 5 areas and do nothing else all day long. You just want to focus on getting more leads in the door. You want to convert more. I always laugh. People are like, I say, hey, how many need more leads? And everyone's hands go up. It's like, really? What if you just converted more of the leads you had? Right? So you need strategies to convert more. You want to get clients to do more transactions with you. Okay? You want to be able to raise your prices without losing business. Listen, if you raised your prices 10%, right now, across the board, you just took your prices and went up 10%, you could lose 1/3 of your clients and you'd still be making the same profit. Are you with me? If you just raise your prices 10%, go home tonight and raise your prices 10%. Right now. Today, why wouldn't you? Oh, I'm in a competitive market. I don't care. You'd have to lose 33% of your clients. You know how many you're really going to lose? 0. You're just going to put all that money in your pocket. Listen, take discount out of your vocabulary. Don't you dare give a 10% discount because you'd have to sell 1/3 more. You with me?
Yeah.
If you're going to give a 10% discount, you got to sell 1/3 more. Are you out of your, like, really? You're out of your mind. Anyone ask you for a discount, giggle, laugh. It ain't happening. And obviously, to Allan's point, you got to put more profits. You got to get with this guy and sit down. He's got like 20 ideas to save you money, and if one works, you with me? Increase your profits, man. Here's the point. You're doing these things. Well, let me just show you how powerful focusing on just 5 areas is. So let's suppose you were getting 1,000 leads a year, right? Let's say about 90 a month, right? 1,000 leads a year, okay? And let's say you were closing 25% of those. You're turning 25% of the customers. That'd be 250 customers, right? And let's suppose that that person bought 10 times a year from you, okay? And your average sale price was $100. So your total revenue then would be $250,000. You guys with me so far? Okay? And if your margin was 25% profits, you'd be making $62,500 profit a year. Does this look like some of your business, right? Now watch what happens if you just get 10% more on just those 5 areas. Look, first leads would go to 1,100, right? 10% more. Your conversion isn't 35%, it goes to 27.5, right? It's 10% more conversion, which means you've got 302 clients instead of 250. You sell them 11 times a year instead of 10, and you raise your price 10% that you're all going to do tomorrow. Your total revenue would be $365,000. You raise your profit margin 10%. Look what you did. By just a little tiny increase in 5 areas, you went from 60 to 100 grand. Is that okay? An extra 40 grand in your pocket? Can we all use that? I mean, if you can't, it's not a charity, but listen, this isn't where you want to play. You don't want to play 10% increases. This isn't where I play. That company I sold to AT&T, come on, man, we went from 0 to 25 million in 3 years, right? And let me show you why. All we did was focus on these 5 areas, but instead, right, the same baseline, but instead we increased everything by 50% per year. So look what happens. There's your leads if it increases 50%, your conversion rate. There's your customers, 562. Your transactions go to 15, your price goes to 150, your total revenue, 1.2 million. By the way, within 1 year, you just increase these 5 areas. You go from 250 to 1.2. You just increased your revenue by $1 million. Is that okay? Everyone's like, oh man, I can't increase my revenue by $1 million because I've never done $1 million in my life, and now, well, but now I'm at 5. Come on, guys. You just focus. People don't focus. People do 100 things instead of 5 things. That's the problem. You with me? So you just focus here. Now look at the profit that generated. $474,000. Will that finance you to get giant clients? Like you got another 474 in the bottom line. First of all, you went to Europe for 3 months. And when you came home, you started doing giant clients. Because one giant can do this, can it? One giant. Okay, so you put in 3 giants, 4 giants, 5 giants, you see what happens. Alright? But this is everyone's like, well, but it's the catch-22. Like, I don't have the money to get a giant. How do I do it? But I want a giant. How do I get the money? This is how you focus on these 5 areas. Let me give you just a couple ways in these 5 areas. A couple things you can do. Something very practical. Okay? Let's just talk about 2 things. A compelling message and doing automated weekly follow-up. Just a couple things.